Hey everybody, welcome to this week's video. If you are used to watching my videos, I'm going to remind you right now to pause and write down your creative production goals for the week, and then to come back in 7 days and let everyone else know what you got done and what you didn't get done. You will see a lot of my video this week is about things that I both did and did not yet do for a market coming up. Also in this video, I'm going to share a little bit of a haul that I did last week at the Creative Reuse Center, which is like a thrift store for craft supplies. I did a pattern test and all other kinds of crochet goodness. So pull up a drink, grab a project to work on, and let's go. I was out running errands on Friday and I decided to stop at the local Creative Reuse Center, and I spent a giant $7.40, but then when I got home I realized that one of the items I bought were not actually key rings, but rings I believe that jewelers use for sizing. So I just threw those in the trash, decided not to be hoarding stuff that I don't need because I don't have any plans on making jewelry. So what I'm about to show you really cost $4 and change. One thing that I always look at my local store, there's a paper crafting area. Now, I'm not a paper crafter either, but I like to get cool cardstock to make price tags. And I did not realize, I just was not paying attention, I didn't realize that some of these were two-sided. And how I normally use these is I punch them out and then punch a little hole and loop some scrap yarn through it and loop it through my plushies, and those are price tags. And I usually depend on the blank side to write what the item is and a price. But I did buy a sticker printer so that for the market I have coming up this weekend, well, number one, I need to come up with a logo, but I will have actually like more professional looking price tags that would be the cardstock on one side and then a sticker on the other side with a logo and what the item is and the price. And I'm hoping that between now and the end of the week, I'm trying to get all my plushie making done today and tomorrow, so then like I'll have Wednesday, Thursday, Friday to either put in inventory and Square or what, because what I really want to do is open a Shopify store and then be able to sell in person via Shopify. That just sounds like a good way to do it. And honestly, like, I've been doing markets for a year, kind of nonstop, and I'm getting better at selecting them. And I'm also getting to a place where I don't want to be like lugging that tent and the tables in and out of my car every week. It's just getting a little tiring and not profitable. So I am looking for other ways to make this a serious small business because, as you know, I am vastly underemployed right now. But anyway, I was talking about the Creative Reuse Center. I got, this one's a two-sided, and clearly I don't pay a whole lot of attention other than if I like the pattern. This one's blank on the other side. But I just thought some of these were fun colors. I'm quite certain that these are wallpaper samples, or maybe not, I don't know. I'm not, but this one's cool. I like that. And then I got this one, but I highly recommend, if you make price tags, to go find some recycled cardstock and a good quality hole punch and do it that way. I used to have these little tiny ones from Amazon that I think I got like 1,000 of them for $5 or something, and they were always falling off. No matter how hard I thought I was tying the string to the plushie, and they would just like be all over the floor. They would be in my pockets. People would be like, oh, here's one of your price, like customers would pick them up off the floor or off the table. So when I switched to doing it that way, the price tags did look a little bit more professional, but now I'm trying to up my game just a little bit more. So also, I love that they just use recycled bags. I think when people donate their stuff and it comes in bags, that the shop people just ASMR, that the workers reuse these bags, because I get a different bag every time I'm there. I got, this is what I wanted to show you first. For 50 cents, I got these really cool eyes. And I have bought safety eyes at at thrift stores before, and I don't know when the washers stopped as a default being metal and moved to plastic, but I do like these metal ones. I mean, they are kind of like rigid if you smush on the plushie a little bit, but these just feel so much more solid, and I love this green color. So my first thought, even though that says cat eyes, I first thought snakes, but now the more I look at it, those would be cool on some loaf cats. I love finding these antique safety eyes. And I know not everybody likes this, but I got some sugar and cream that I use for market bags, and this colorway is Overcast, which is a great, if you have like a straight, variegated yarn in a market bag, and then you can use a neutral color like this to way to mix colors with variegated yarn and then a neutral. Speaking of which, this one's a little thinner than usual. This might be peaches and cream, but it's still really pretty colors. And then a whole bunch of, this is just called Soft Ecru, but it looks like this is somebody's scrap yarn, and it looks, oh, see, this is from the Publix pharmacy. But all that for $4, I am not going to complain, and feel free to drop in the comments how you hate this yarn, and that's fine, because more for me, I do seem to find that I can always pick up some sugar and cream when I'm there. And I've also realized recently that this place is either caught on to other fiber artists, or people just aren't donating their yarn anymore, because the yarn area used to just be overflowing, and I would clean up. The yarn is $6 a pound, and I would just fill my basket and for $20 get an abundance of yarn. But now when I go, it's a little sparse, and I've gone a few times and not really seen any yarn at all that I was interested in buying. So, Joanne, kind of messing things up for us in the craft world. All right, cool. Last week I also did a pattern test, and it was the second time that I tested for cottage lore _ crochet, and this time it was this sweet Eeyore Lovey. Look how cute that is. And I'm going to say it again because I highly recommend her patterns. It's cottage lore _ crochet. I'm first of all going to say this may be the best instructions for a granny square that I have ever read, and if I were new to granny squares, I would have been so grateful to have had this. I learned how to make them watching Jada in Stitches, and she is a great teacher, but if you know this from previous videos, I don't do very well with video tutorials, but the writing for the granny square, spot on, no guesswork at all, and I really love how it drapes. Now, if I had blocked this, I think the blue part would lay flat, but then this is supposed to be ruffly and scallopy on the edges. There were really great sewing instructions for the face, and of course it's baby safe because it is a lovey. Now, I wish I had done a softer yarn. This is it's probably like, if it's not Super Saver, it's something like that, and it is a little bit scratchy, but maybe with time it would soften up. But look at that, so cute. I love it. He will be stashed under a table at my market this weekend because it is not with the theme of the market that I'm doing, but if my table starts to get a little empty, he might find a space there, but if not, he's definitely coming with me to my big market in November. Crochet Roulette 2025, and this week's theme is red and space, which is another little challenging one. And I heard Chris from Enchanted Skein saying my brain immediately went to Mars. Mine did too, but I'm not going to submit just like a red circle. I'm going to do better than that. And also with the market prep for the Beatles Festival, where I will be selling on Saturday, eventually my brain found Across the Universe. So I kind of want to do something with that too, and I've got some ideas in my head. I'm workshopping it in my brain a little bit, and I'm hoping later on today to get started on it. Last week, week 5, was Safari and Pink. And I went a little overboard because I also preparing for this festival and everything I'm making is based on a Beatles song. I wanted to do something with This Bird Has Flown. And I probably Googled, I think I may have Googled just safari animals, and then flamingo showed up. I was like, I didn't know that flamingos were safari animals, but apparently there are flamingos in Africa. Who knew? I thought they were just like in Florida. So y'all, this is Freya the flamingo, and I love her size. I love how dangly she is. Like, look at these legs. And then she's just also striking. And I love her. And I really want someone to buy her. And so on Instagram, I was a giant nerd and made up this whole story because of this, with the song Norwegian Wood and the subtitle, This Bird Has Flown, that this is Freya the flamingo, and she actually is from the safari, but she was born in Norway. I guess her parents immigrated there and then flew back to find her roots to riff on This Bird Has Flown. And this is a free pattern on Ribbler. I believe it was Yokata Designs. It should have been a free pattern. I'm going to say that there were definitely some things that you had to know what to do. A couple times I did just kind of have to guess, and not guess, but like use my knowledge to fill in the gaps where some things were not explained in the pattern. But one thing that was kind of interesting was, here's where it started with a circle, and then this part just kind of stayed open until I was about finished. And then so it went from a circle to working in rows, and then the rows that working in rows that then got narrower, and then this is a ball essentially, and then the feet you start with a chain and then crochet around both sides and then crochet all the way up. I was watching a live while making these. I mean, it was pretty mindless and a little bit fiddly because I was using this blanket yarn, and I think it was 7 stitches across, but you know, it didn't bother me. But it didn't bother me because I was watching something and mindlessly crocheting. And then the wings, if you've ever done a rose where you do a scallopy long strip and then roll it up, that's what these are. I was concerned that they would not look the same, but I think I did a reasonably good job. The blanket yarn can certainly hide a lot of mistakes or hide a lot of inconsistencies. And then the feathers are like leaves. Crochet around one side, crochet around the other side, and I just really like how that looks. So after completely phoning it in for week 4, it was pink sea life. I just shared a picture of a walrus keychain that I was making and phoned it, just like that was completely lame. So week 4 was pink sea life. This was pastel and safari, and then coming up is red and space, and you'll just have to watch my next video to see what I did with that, or maybe I'll put it on Instagram. But if I'm acting like I'm one of the organizers for this, I am sorry. I don't want anyone to feel that way. I'm just an enthusiastic contributor and participant in all of this, so I do enjoy talking about it each week, but I am definitely not one of the people who came up with the idea or organizing it. Alright, so for market prep, as you know, a few weeks ago, wrote down all the plushies that I want to create for the Beatles Festival coming up, and I wrote them all down, cut it up, put it in this yogurt jar, and my last video was mostly me pulling them and then showing. So I'm going to go ahead and finish or continue with that. I did do a lot this week. The last one that I pulled were these cats that I am calling Sweet Loretta Martin, and if you know the song Get Back, playing with it, saying get cat, and Sweet Loretta Martin is one of the characters in that song. And so I did make 4 of these little mini loaf cats. You know, a lot of people make loaf cats, and I like that these are just like slightly different. Like, as you can see, they're oriented differently. Usually a loaf cat is gonna have the face here, these are quick little makes, and I did want to do at least one black cat for Halloween with purple. This isn't exactly the shade of purple that I wanted, but I don't hate the result. This is a free pattern by, I'm going to try to pronounce it, La Amigurumia, and like all the patterns that I'm talking about in this video, except for the pattern test, there are links in the Google Doc that is in the description. So that was the first thing I did. And then after that, I pulled 5 octo keychains. After cat, I pulled octo keychains. So I wrapped that up and have a total of the 10 that I was wanting to bring. These are gonna go for $8 and nothing special. It is the Sweet Softies pattern, the 20-minute squish. The only thing I do is I do make the tentacles a little bit longer, so it is a little bit undeniably an octo. So after pulling octos, I pulled up either eggs or walruses, because my initial plan was to do a walrus and an egg, kind of like how other people do the chicken and the egg to riff on the Beatles song. But then by the time I got to it, I was kind of like, oh, it's just starting to feel like work. And I just decided, no, I'm not going to do the eggs. And also, if they don't sell, like, that is so unbelievably niche that I don't think it would be something that would sell at a different market. So instead of doing walruses and eggs, I did them in eggy colors, and I ended up just using yellow scrap yarn. So here it is in blanket yarn, and I think this is like a Posh. So I think this might have been one of the first ones that I made before I came up with the idea of making them yellow. So I have 5, and they don't match, but maybe somebody will get it, or maybe if somebody picks it up, I can be like, you get it why it's that color. But did the walruses, and what I pulled after that was lambs. I admit it. I was influenced. I have heard so many other crocheters rave about the splooting animals from the Snuggle Beans Crochet. So I went on to Etsy and I bought 2 patterns. I bought Lily the Lamb and Dory the Deer because I am riffing on Maxwell's Silver Lammer and also Deer, like D-E-E-R, Dear Prudence. And I don't know what I was thinking, believing that I could do 5 lambs in 2 days, and I have not pulled deer yet, so I'm definitely going to temper my expectations, because by the time I got through that 5th deer at the morning of day 3, I was pretty over it. It was starting to feel like work again, but oh my gosh, I now understand the hype, because look at this. What a fantastic pattern. And I love that it can lay like this, or it can sit up. And I didn't put the weighted pellets in there mostly because I don't have any pantyhose, and the last couple times I've gone to Dollar Tree to look for the multi-packs of trouser socks. I haven't found them, and it's just kind of a big expense to put a pantyhose like per plushie, so I've kind of been avoiding that even though I do have the pellets. I did not use them for this. I love this pattern. And I also admit my perfectionism was getting in the way because I bought it and I was really hesitating to start because I've seen so many other much more successful YouTubers review these patterns and say how great they are, and I'm like, oh no, what if I make it and it's terrible? And that, you know, those voices were kind of getting into my head, but then I told myself to be quiet. And so I have 2 of these because they're cute as can be, but they are not quick. And you probably have heard other people review these. You make the head, and then this is one piece. Like if you've made fingers on a hand before, like you make 3 separate pieces and then join them together. You do the ears, which are 2 circles 2 different colors, so you crochet them together. You do a color change on the head to create a muzzle appearance. And then I really like these arms and legs. Doing the front post single crochet. Was it back post? Was it? I don't remember if it's front post or back post, but that creates such neat circles for the arms and the legs. And frankly, after doing this one, I thought the other 2 lamb patterns were a little bit less than, but they were free. I mean, I did spend 12 something on this and the deer pattern, which I'm hoping to do at least 1 between now and Saturday. I'm definitely not going to get 5 finished with everything else that I want to do, but I'm going to get my money's worth on the pattern. So after doing those 2, I was like, I can't bring 5. I just don't have time. So I found a free lamb. I have to look. Let me look at my computer for a second. This is Sally the Silly Sheep by the Crochet Machine. I made 1. And part of it was me, because this is, I believe, the Dollar Tree Just Chenille, which is sometimes a little bit hard to work with, but I knew I had enough of it to make her. And like a lot of standing patterns like these, you do the 4 legs and then you join them together to make the body, and then the head you make separately. You do the ears, you do these little balls on the top of the head, very similar to this one, the decoration on the top of the head, and also the 3rd one. But this was not a quick make either, and for the size, I only made 1. I decided it was not worth the time investment. And then I really like this last one. This is another free pattern on Ribbler. This one is by lj.crochet, and I tried to tag them on Instagram, but there was more than one LJ Crochet, and I didn't know which one was the right one. So this is called Shirley the Sheep. I did make 2. Pretty simple. It's really just 2 balls. And then what I liked about this one is the mix of textures. So you do the body in a fluffy yarn, and then you do the head in acrylic, which I thought this was really fun. But I tell you, very much deserving to be a free pattern. However, if you do have some knowledge, I do recommend trying it because it is really cute. I added the tail on my own. I did this one first, and it, according to the pattern, you do these little stubby legs, and I knew I got to be much better at amigurumi when I made these 4 little stubby legs, and they all sit evenly on the floor. I know I was getting, some of my early stuff wobbled a little bit, but you make the legs and then the body and the head. And this is kind of interesting too, and maybe I misunderstood the pattern, but normally I would think the magic ring is where the nose goes, but this actually, here's the magic ring, and then of course you increase and decrease, and then I think it was at 18 stitches. You do 18 around a few times, which made the muzzle, which of course could have happened at the beginning too, but I was like, that's kind of different how you end the circle with what is the nose, and then you do the embroidery instead of with the snuggle beans pattern where these little guys are attached. You make them separately, and I think I just sewed them together. But this was the first one that I did, and then the second one I just made some bobble stitches, and you know what, I only did 2 so that it kind of rests. I wasn't sure that if I had made 4 if it would wobble, but I kind of like the way it's kind of like sitting and looking up, and then just to give them a little bit of interest. There we go. I did them in 2 separate colors. Oh, and also with this one to do the head, these were bobble stitches, which was supremely annoying in the chenille yarn, and I think that was also another reason why I made 1 and I was just like done with that. So the last thing that I got done was 2 more Rocky Raccoons. I have 3, and at this point I don't think it really matters like which 2 I made yesterday. I wanted 4, and if you see behind me, a big boy right there turned out much bigger than I thought he would be. This is a free pattern on Instagram by Sarah's Crochets. I know at one point I was tired yesterday and was just having a time with these color changes. And I also kind of realized later that the black Bernat that I was using was not good quality, and it was shedding and it was making me mad. And actually on this one I ended up just doing like cross stitches instead of bobbles for the arm, like as you can see here. This one's bobble stitches on the arms and legs. Also with this mask area, I started out carrying the yarn, and it doesn't matter what kind of yarn I use, whether it's acrylic or chenille or like this plush blanket yarn. I just don't like the result of carrying the yarn. You can see through it. So I did end up on the last two cutting and tying knots, which can get a little bit tedious, but it just looks better in the end. But I believe the way that you sew the nose on, you do cover up some of that imperfection of carrying the yarn, but at the end I was just like, I don't like this. I do like this pattern. Once you get past these rows right here, it's pretty easy, and the tail is just easy changing colors at the end of the round. So I will probably make more of these, and I just love how chubby he is. And maybe I overstuff, but look at that fat little raccoon. While I look at my computer screen, and you can also follow along on the table I created. Jojo Cat is finished. He's going to be $40. He was a lot of work, a lot of color changes. I have completed 5 yellow submarines, which I'm going to sell at $45 each. Those are done. I wanted to do 10 of the walrus keychains for $8. At the moment I have 6. I'm probably going to stop there. I do have 10 octo keychains. I do have the 4 Rocky Raccoons that I was hoping to do. The large one is $75 and the small ones are $15, which is a total of $120. Please comment if I made a mistake with my math. They are not special. I just made the regular bullet bees. I made 2 of those last night that I will sell for $10 each. I don't think I'm going to make more. I showed you the walruses. I have 0 deer at this point, but I am done with the lambs. I did 4 out of the 8 original Sweet Loretta Martin cats, but I also completed Freya, and not on this table is Across the Universe. So my goal did shift around a little bit. It was originally 1,000, but as I re-added things up, it became 1,065. And current completed is 858. Not bad. That is essentially $140 worth of inventory that I have today, tomorrow, and Wednesday to complete. This is a part of the video where I'm going to tell you to pause and to put in the comments your creative production goal for the week, and then to remember to come back in 7 days to tell everyone else who commented how much you got done and maybe what you didn't get done. I just showed you. I mean, I didn't do a very good job calculating how much time it would take me to do some things, but overall I'm pretty content with where I am at this point, which brings me to like one weird final point in this video, and it is that last week's video did not perform nearly as well as some of the last few ones that I have done. Now I have way fewer than 100 subscribers at this point. I don't think that's going to be true forever, but you know, I'm thrilled when I get 50 views, but this last one got way fewer than that, and I'm really thinking about it because I had the Beatles in the thumbnail and in the title, and I'm like, okay, Beatles themed crochet plushies is like super duper niche, and I can understand why the algorithm did not push it out to a lot of people. I mean, and also I do look in the analytics that my target audience is younger than me. So, you know, for me, like the Beatles were my parents' music, and for the people that seem to be watching these videos, it's like your grandparents' music. And I get that if it is completely not familiar to you, and I have been geeking out over it over the past 3 videos. It's just what I like. When I got invited to sell at this Beatles festival, my mind just like coming up with all these different ideas to come up with plushies based on Beatles songs. But I'm in a weird place right now, because, and I know I'm just getting started making videos and I've really come a long way. I used to be terrified of filming myself, and I'm really enjoying the confidence that I'm getting being on camera. But there's being authentic, and then there's not beating the algorithm, but like, you can serve yourself and be like your real authentic self, or you can try to make your videos find the algorithm and try to push out to bigger audiences. And I just don't know where on the line I want to fall. I mean, of course I want to get subscribers. I would love to get monetized one day, but not in a fake kind of way. And I say this like in every video, probably multiple times in a video, what a nerd I am. And I'm awkward. I'm never going to stop being awkward. I'm just awkward. So something to think about. Some weird final thoughts. Thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe if you have not already. Please hit that like button if you enjoyed this video. And another reminder to write down your goal for the week so we can both be accountable to each other. Thank you so much. Bye.